Atheism does not equal a belief someone who I assume is a Christian or at least a deist left that comment in a video that I did a few weeks ago on how to talk to your Christian family and friends. They're dabbling in Pascal's wager, sort of the Jordan Peterson school of thought, like, even if it's not true, what's the harm of believing in something, especially if it benefits you personally? And this is a thought that kept me in church for at least the last 10 years of my journey in church. That's what I kept thinking, like, what's the harm? It's benefiting me, even though I had just some serious questions. So today I'm going to just talk mostly about how it harmed me, even though I didn't know it was harming me, and what benefits it gave me, and what I think about that. So here we go. So what's the harm, right? What's the harm? I know I paid a steep price, especially in three different ways. And the first one is I paid a price in time. Time is the only thing that we can never get back. I spent over 50 years of my life in church, including, I'm talking from the day I was born, because I was born and brought up in a fundamentalist independent Baptist church. And that is time that I can never get back. I have never added up the hours that I spent in the pew when we're talking about church service, Sunday school, Bible studies, small groups, volunteering, summer camps. I mean, it has to be so many, it's got to be years of my life, time. That's the only thing we can never get back. And I wasted a lot of time in something that wasn't true. So that can be a harm, can be a benefit too, which I'll talk about, but that was a harm for me because now I feel like I'm this senior person now, and I just wasted so much time doing that, and I really regret it. Money. Money is the second one. I've estimated that I probably gave $100,000 of my money to the church over that 50 years. Because if you're a real Christian, and I was, even though some people don't think I was, I gave 10% of my income, or at least a big chunk of it. And we're talking, tithing alone, but then there's always special love offerings, and there's giving money to different various church, charities. I probably gave at least $100,000 of my money. That's something that I can get back. And now I still do give money away. I try to give money to charities, and I do when I'm given the opportunity. I almost always say yes, but at least I know I'm not doing it out of guilt, I'm stealing from God. Even the more liberal church that I went to at the end of my church career, he said to the congregation, "You're stealing from God if you don't give him 10%." Of course, what he meant is giving me 10%. But anyway, $100,000 of my money gone. And then there's what's called opportunity cost. Any of you that have even studied the basics of economics know what opportunity cost is. It means that you're doing something that you could have been putting somewhere else. And that does include money and time. Opportunity cost. Not only did I spend my time in the pews, like I said, Sunday school, church, blah, 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 I also was one of the people that volunteered for everything. There's about 10% of the population in church, and probably every organization, that does, the vast majority of the volunteering. And that was me. And I would volunteer my family too. You know how moms and wives love to do that. I would volunteer everybody. So that is opportunity cost that I can't ever get back. I could have been volunteering somewhere that does such a better job of helping the community. I could have been volunteering at hospitals or animal shelters, or a foster care program or anything, but at a church that's peddling something that's fake, promising you eternal life, but you need to give 10% of your money too. That's what I was doing. Opportunity cost lost, can't get that back. But here's the real question. Did I get any benefit from it? Yes, of course. Yes, I benefited from it. Who doesn't want to think that you're going to live forever? Did that make me feel good? Yeah. Yeah, it made me feel good to think I'm in the in group. I'm going to live forever. Yeah, that's a benefit. I also made lots of friends and I had a community. Church, I've said this in other videos, church does community really, really well, better than almost anybody. So I had a community, and that's really valuable. I'm not going to lie. That is a valuable thing that a church group gives to you, is community. And the other thing is, yes, they do some good in and about their local communities and even globally. There's ulterior motives that go with that, but I'm not going to say that I didn't do any good. We packed backpacks for low income children. In the summertime, we would give them little backpacks full of food and snacks and toys to keep them busy and healthy in the summertime. We did all kinds of things like that. So, of course, that benefited me because I felt good about that. And are there cases that we should just let people have their own beliefs? I think as a whole, that even benign religion, liberal religion does harm society by letting people think magically. I don't think that's ever good to allow anyone to have magical thinking, because that permeates every part of their life. If you will believe this magical thing over here, what's stopping you from not believing conspiracy theories and all kinds of other magical thinking? I think it primes you to be conned. So I don't think as a whole it's good. But are there certain instances where I just think that it does somebody more benefit than harm? Yes. Do you think that I was going to argue or debate with my 90-year-old mother-in-law, a staunch Catholic who was sick and dying? What good is that going to do? It's not. It's not going to do any good. What about someone who has just lost a child, who's gone through something devastating, a mother or a father who's grieving, and the only thing they can hold on to is that they'll see their child in heaven, if that's what they believe? Is that the time or the place to make them let go of their magical thinking? No, that would be cruel. I wouldn't do that. And what about someone who's intellectually disadvantaged? You're not going to debate with someone like that. You're not going to take that away from them. That's, a very hard thing to do. I'm not saying you could never talk to them. I'm not going to say you should treat them like literal children. But I'm saying that's not someone who I would go after, hot and heavy. So in these instances, maybe there's others. You can tell me in the comments what you think. If there's other instances where you should just leave well enough alone. But that is my answer to this comment. I hope that I answered that well enough. If not, you can tell me. So give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I'll see you next time.